Welcome to Out of Home Insider, the loudest voice in out of home. It's funny, a lot of people stop and ask me, they say, Tim, what's that mean? What does it mean to be the loudest voice in out of home? A lot of folks assume it has something to do with being louder than other industry trade coverage. It actually has nothing to do with anyone other than the community that is out of home. Whether you're a big operation, a small operation, have unique marketing insights, or a ton of out-of-home expertise, this is a platform to help the community grow, the community to learn. So I invite you to subscribe, follow, share. Please do all those things that help the community of out-of-home grow through this podcast, through the amazing guests that we have. It's all about democratization. And that's one of the reasons I'm most excited to be a part of the team at OneScreen.ai, where we're bringing buyers and sellers together to help brands win. If you want to learn more about what we're doing at OneScreen, visit onescreen.ai. Without further ado, let's go.
Welcome everybody to the Out of Home Insider Show, a podcast like no other, hosted by the one and only Tim Rowe. Get ready to have some knowledge dropped on you and to be entertained, because nothing's more valuable than food for your brain. So sit back, relax, we're about to dive in as the best industry podcast is about to begin.
So, Ryan, you were just starting to say.
Yeah. So what brought me to the company? So I've been like an ad tech veteran for more than a decade now. I've built video DSPs at Videology. I've done mobile stuff at Verve, and I met with the team at Octopus, and the conversation really like brought to light, this is an out-of-home product that brings the best of a lot of other media channels and like pulls it all together, right? And so you've got the ability to use video, that sight, sound, and motion, like most captivating creative. You're doing it in an environment that's unique and novel because, look, the back of the rideshare is not normally the place where you're like, I'm going to get to play some trivia games and experience this content. And you have the mobile aspect of the fact that you can interact, and you can interact really specifically and have these responsive experiences with the riders that are in the back of the cabin. Like putting those three things together is what has excited me about Optimus since the day I started. The challenge and the opportunity also exists because it's those three things all pushed together, right? It's not necessarily as easy as saying, cool, let's go plug into the CTV or the digital out-of-home landscape, because you look at that and go, look, digital out-of-home, it's an amazing sort of area to work in. At the same time, it is not homogenous. When you say CTV, that's everybody's on a 16:9 box. Right. Sure. And I'm going to deliver video content over that pipe, and it's all going to be the same. And it doesn't matter if that 16:9 box is in somebody's house or in a bar even, right? Like it doesn't really do anything different.
And right, maybe like because you've got the background and the subject matter expert on those sorts of things, like Out of Home talks about connected TV. There's even some outdoor companies that sell connected TV to their local advertisers, but like CTV can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people. Fair statement?
Yeah, 100% fair statement. It's actually, I probably spent 5 years of my career just telling people what the difference is between over-the-top OTT and CTV. Right? Because,
and just for the audience that isn't familiar with that, could you clarify?
Yeah, so OTT is really about the content, right? It's generally stuff that's professionally produced. It's what's coming from the networks. The people who are used to delivering that over a cable wire or over even a broadcast, over the top, look, the internet is made of clouds, right? Is the sort of mantra. And so this is literally taking that content and going over the top of everything else and serving it down through those internet pipes. CTV is much more about specifically you're in an environment where I'm leaning back, I'm going to see this content, the screen is 10 feet away from me, and I'm going to serve ads in that television. It's a connected television, is that connected environment. So it's a small nuance, right? But the difference in talking about the content versus the delivery mechanism is really important. And when you start to get into the out-of-home world and you start talking about video and out-of-home, there's a lot of it that looks like that CTV delivery environment and the OTT environment. The content could be the same, but there is some really big differences. And I think the industry has looked at what are ways that we can either try to fit into the CTV box or accentuate the differences, do things that no CTV provider could ever really do. Being able to have screens that show shorter versions of content because you don't have the dwell time, it's actually really good for an advertiser, right? Because they get more eyeballs, they get more impressions in that environment. But the quality of their message can be the same. And in fact, can actually be amplified because it's being shown in a more novel context than, listen, every night I'm on my couch and I'm watching some streaming service. And if it's ad supported, then I'm going to see those ads. But it's still the same to me. It's very monotonous, right? But if I'm walking in a street in the back of a ride chair, if I'm in my doctor's office or some other public waiting room and I'm seeing something, like I'm at a sports clips, right? And I'm seeing some commercials there, that's a totally different experience. And I might have some connections to that I'll recall later to those brands that I see in that environment. So yeah.
And what's unique about your platform is you can give brands the opportunity to be really contextually relevant with the interactivity of the screen. And you guys talk about like the difference between a lean in and a lean back moment. Elaborate on some of the ways that you're able to give brands that interactive component on the screen, and then how those two experiences are distinctly different in what we're consuming and how we engage with that content.
Totally. So we're able to take all of the sort of data that comes off of our screens, and combine that together with really interesting and creative content. An example, so we work with a company in New York City. They represent all the Disney shows on Broadway, right? Well, they're not looking to necessarily like capture any information. They just want to be able to say, when you're midtown, show this ad, and when you're uptown, show this ad. And we can do some things where we can show a video ad, but you can also have it as sort of its own little game, right? Where somebody can lean in and say, well, what do you want to watch right now? Maybe you want to, see, can I get Aladdin out of the lamp, right? Those sorts of things are possible because of the affordances that we have from this smart tablet in an out-of-home environment. We also are bringing on lean back content, as you mentioned, and that's more about, listen, some people want to get into a car. I know this happens to me. If I am just got off a plane, I get into a ride chair, I'm hammering through my email as quickly as I can and trying to use this as a break. Yeah. And my break is either I'm going to listen to a podcast on my phone, or if I have the opportunity, how cool would it be to watch a video? And if it's not my data plan that's going to take the hit on that might be even better, right? So we've got now sort of some optionality for the rider, and that provides, again, some different context that we can utilize in our advertisements. So both of those experiences take advantage of the fact that you've got a captive setting where you're going to be able to use this really intelligent screen to be able to deliver highly relevant advertisements and have that brand experience be something that you're probably not going to get really anywhere else.
It's pretty cool too. And like the screens are really advanced. I want to talk about some of that because to this point, somebody might just be thinking, hey, this is a tablet running on a loop in the back of, someone's Toyota Camry. But these things are really smart, like motion activated, and you've got some like camera stuff going on. Like how does all the tech stuff work?
Yeah, we use a bunch of different technologies, and some of that is to make sure that we're appropriately incentivizing our drivers. So, we pay for impressions in terms of what advertisers pay us. Well, when we get to the drivers, we didn't want to just do a rev share. That didn't make sense. So our model looks more at how often are you driving? So we measure that via the accelerometer in the vehicle, and we make some assumptions about, if it moved this many times, it's this many rides that the driver does. And then, as you mentioned, we use our camera sensor. And that really, what we do is we use object detection there. So we never take a picture with the camera. We're just using what the camera sees and saying, is that a person? Is it an umbrella? Is it a burrito? And for our advertisers, we ensure that impressions only count when that's a person. We're one of the only mediums, out of home generally, but we're the only mediums even within out of home where you can really say, I can ensure that I delivered an ad to a person. As much as CTV, and there's all these viewability measurement components that happen on online video, you still can't say, like in that CT environment, did that person get up and go to the bathroom? Did that person get up and go change the laundry? You know what that person didn't do? Jump out of a vehicle moving 30 miles an hour on a road.
Pretty safe assumption. Otherwise, we'd be having a different conversation about Octopus and the impending lawsuits.
Yeah, and I think that is, again, it's sort of that idea when you talk about out of home generally. Yeah. it means so many different things. And there are so many different opportunities to be able to drive to what is really important for an advertiser. And like I said, I've been in the ad tech space for a really long time, but ultimately, let's be very honest. What is the advertiser cares about? Getting subscriptions, moving stuff on shelves. Ultimately, did you increase my bottom line? That's it.
And nobody's in this for branding, right? We're all here to make money. Branding sounds nice, but at the end of the day, right? Sales are king.
Sales are king, and the attribution and measurement of sales is sometimes more challenging in an out-of-home space because you lose some of the fidelity of, I've got a very specific, unique identifier on a device that I can do all this measurement against.
Sure.
And in some cases, that's really true. And even in the out-of-home space, that is becoming more and more viable. But when you get into some of the complexities of, let's also have the screen that you're looking at move. So I can't just do a geofence. By the way, you may be, instead of trying to understand who that person is and what audience they're part of, you may be trying to do things like, maybe I want to capture their phone number so that I can do a drip campaign later on.
Right. Because that's something too. Like there's a lot of like these little games where you can, as a brand, incentivize somebody. The game is fun, and then I can like actually win a thing at the end and exchange information. So it's a lead generation platform as well for some.
It is
right advertisers.
Yeah, and we sort of look at it right now as brand awareness to drive sales is sort of the king of what we do. Mm-hmm. But we're able, again, to sort of use what the device can do to get down to lead generation, to get down to how does this sort of fit in your overall marketing plan. And what's interesting is when you think about that use case, you may be capturing that lead. And even if you're working with specifically the out-of-home agency, they go, well, we don't know what to do with this. Okay, somebody who was working with the brand cares, right? Someone
totally right. I want to know. I want that on my plan. I want to know that I have the opportunity to do that.
Exactly, and being able to have a compelling environment where that can be captured is huge, right? Yeah. It's absolutely huge. And yeah, we've had brands do everything from give away a Red Bull at 7-Eleven to give away a mattress.
Damn,
for
I kind of need a new mattress.
Yeah,
and get an Uber this afternoon.
Right, and we've had the ability to get lottery tickets, right, through our partnership with Lottery.com, cool. Right, and so there's the nice thing about what I get to do as sort of the technical person at Octopus is look at this device and say it's just a toolbox, right? It's just a tool in the toolbox. Yeah. And I can pull out whatever we need to be able to really drive what it is that the advertiser is looking for. And some of them are just saying, I need the brand awareness. And that's cool. And we could do an awesome game for you with custom creative that will not just drive your brand awareness. It's like Slurpees flying across the screen. Count how many of them you see. It's not just going to drive brand awareness for you. It's going to drive a memorable brand awareness, something that somebody's going to really enjoy.
I might tweet that out. I might take a picture with that because it's such a unique. I was just expecting to get in here and like pretend to listen to something so I didn't have to talk to the driver for 7 minutes, but instead I had this really cool experience and I'm joking with the driver, right? And then that's a moment in time that you're able to engage them with. And as a brand, what a great opportunity to create this sort of memory.
Right. And you were talking about, you might get in, and I was expecting to talk to my driver, and some people hate that.
Yeah.
Right. They just don't want to do that. Again, sure. I'm off the plane from 5 hours being on there. I don't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm a chatty Cathy, and other times it's just like, please don't talk to me.
Exactly. And you know what? Drivers are the same way. They're people too. Sometimes they just don't want to talk. But what we see and what we think makes Octopus really special is that we drive positive engagement for advertisers. We also drive positive engagement for drivers. So our drivers experience higher ratings, higher tips. We've had many stories come back from our drivers saying, my passenger just said, could you drive around the block a couple of times? I want to finish this trivia game.
Stop it.
Like that's a real thing that happens. And they're paying for that.
They're paying more
for the Uber, right?
To get advertised to.
It's amazing how that novelty of that experience in that novel environment can drive some really interesting behavior. And it's not everybody, but even the 1 or 2 stories of that's sort of the thing where you go, there's something here. Like we're going to keep going because there's definitely something here.
Yeah, for sure. So the $1 million question that I'm sure a few folks have asked themselves in their minds is like, how's COVID impacted you?
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt it was a big hit when it came back in March and April. Our network took about an 80% hit, right
I'm
along
surprised
with
there was
Uber and
20%
Lyft.
left.
Yeah, you know what? There's enough people who want, and our partnership with our drivers, like we have the best drivers. We're
That's
not.
awesome.
It's not people who are like, I just do this on the weekends. These are like the road warriors who are putting our tablets in their cars, which is great. So for some of them, that was really there. And honestly, Uber and Lyft recognize this too. While there was a serious cutback, those drivers were actually still providing essential services to get doctors to hospitals, right?
Wow,
and to get people to get to their groceries, and like that sort of maintained that 20%. And month over month, from April to now, we're in almost February, or in February, month over month growth every single month. Wow. In terms of drivers and hours.
Wow. I mean, that's pretty remarkable, because on the surface, I'm sure if we polled, 10 out of 10 people, they might say nobody's in the back of an Uber or Lyft right now. But
yeah,
the data says otherwise.
The data says otherwise. I think our audience has shifted.
Okay.
We're probably we're skewed a bit younger right now. We're skewed a bit more towards an essential worker class. And that could be defined as those doctors, we're talking with doctors and nurses going to hospitals, the grocery store clerk who needs to, get there. People are making the shift and saying, what's safer right now? Public transportation or getting in the back of a single ride share?
Wow.
Right. Wow. And they're choosing rideshare because it's safer. And you've got Uber and Lyft both doing things with their drivers to ensure, hey, we're using face detection to make sure the driver has a mask on. Uber has a partnership with Clorox to make sure that they've got wipes in cars. Lyft has deployed over 100,000 plastic screens to separate the front of a vehicle to the back, right, to try to maintain that safety. Because, look, the reality is car ownership has been going down. And more people, particularly in urban settings, are choosing not to own their own car. So they're stuck on, it's either going to be public transportation or you and I are on the East Coast. You're not going to be picking up that Lime scooter in 30-degree weather. It's a bit too cold for that, right?
Also, it's under 3 feet of snow.
Exactly. So instead, it's Uber and Lyft, and I think that consumer behavior change, it, like everything during COVID, it kind of is accelerated, right? It's people either saying, I'm going to move out to less urban areas, and I'm going to have to buy a car, and I got to figure that into my whole life calculation. But maybe I still want to be in that urban center. I have to get from point A to point B far less. So like distance is probably reduced in terms of our average ride. But the actual ride number and the amount of engagement that we're seeing has either gotten close to where the same level where we were, or even increased. People touching the tablets, more people touch the tablets on as a percentage basis now than pre-COVID.
Stop
Absolutely.
it. And do you think it's because we feel like we're more aware and we're like, oh, well, they wouldn't put it here if it's not clean?
I think
is it that, or like, I don't know. That's crazy.
I think some of it is, so there's two things happening. One, and this is not to toot Octopus's horn, but we're going to do it anyway. Like we've gotten better at making more engaging creators.
Yeah, you guys are super cool.
Like we've gotten more better games and like have done some great stuff there. But the other thing is we have learned about COVID. We've learned that it is primarily transferred through the air and not through surfaces.
Right.
And the people who are getting in the back of our car, going back to sort of who they are, these are first movers anyway. They've already taken their hand and opened up a door of somebody else's vehicle. They're sitting in there, they're going to put on a seatbelt. This is not a big extension for them to go touch a screen. And so we've seen more engagement over the last couple of months by percentage than we've ever seen before, which is crazy to me. And I'm the data guy. I'm looking at it going, are we sure this is right? But it is. And we've been able to validate it again. It's sort of that month over month process. We're continuing to see some of that increased engagement.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible stuff. What are you most excited for in 21?
One, vaccines. Vaccines seem really exciting to me right now.
A year ago, you wouldn't have said that.
No, this is definitely a change in my mindset. I think the other thing that really excites me is you've seen this progression in other areas of advertising where, the CTV space has sort of exploded during this time. There's more cord cutters now. And I think that's going to lend itself to saying, if I'm an advertiser and I say, I think I've reached everybody I can using CTV, where can I get more incrementally, you're going to have to start looking at some of those alternative areas where you can take that cool video creative that you probably spent a boatload of money trying to produce.
Right.
How do I get in front of more eyes to be more effective? And I think that to me is where not just Octopus, but a number of out-of-home companies who that's the next place that you're going to see video content be delivered. I'm excited for that. I've sort of maintained that excitement through 20. For me, 20 was like, all right, this is the strangest road bump I've ever seen. But ultimately, we were on a trajectory before. I don't think COVID has stopped us on that trajectory. We're just going to keep going.
Right. And as the thirst and the hunger for better data, better stories, as marketers get better at marketing and we start to return to the idea of hey, single point attribution is not a good idea. People actually move through the real world and they sit in the back of Ubers and they see billboards and they see, the park bench, they're exposed to all sorts of stuff. And I think that's what I'm excited for. Not that you asked, but I'm excited for marketers to just get better at doing good campaigns with high degrees of measurement so they can be confident in the plan. But let's just get back to being good marketers.
Totally. And the other thing that I think is going to be a real big push, right? And you're going to see it, it's probably not going to get done in 21, to be totally honest, is the rest of the marketing industry, the rest of at least the ad tech industry. Yeah. You're going to lose some of those key identifiers. You're probably going to lose a cookie at some point here in the next couple of years, right? You're going to lose IDFA at some point in the next couple of years. Well, without those, what are you going to do as a marketer? You can't now just be I'm going to use data to get super efficient. Cool, but you actually just really need to tell a much better story and sort of get back to marketing principles of who is my audience? Where can I find them at high concentrations? And how can I tell them a really compelling story? And I think those marketers who are smart are going to stop looking at individual channels as the way to do that and start looking more across omni-channel, making omni-channel buying decisions to say, this compelling story, I can totally do this, but I'm going to mix in some out of home with some video. I'm going to maybe buy a local TV spot. I know I just said the craziest thing ever.
Wow.
From that
underpriced attention, I'm in.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the mix that's going to become even more important to get to the consumers that people actually want to reach.
I don't know that there's a better way we could end off on that. So Ryan, it's been a pleasure, man. Thanks so much for being here. Where can folks learn more about Octopus? What's the best place to go to?
Yeah, playoctopus.com is definitely the place to visit. Learn about what we can do for advertisers, for drivers, basically everybody that we work with. Ultimately, riders. We're starting to put some rider stuff on there and just take a look at some of the games that we're playing. So, cool. We're a great place to look and learn more.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for being here. If this has been helpful, if you've learned something new, if you just found it interesting, please share it with somebody else who could benefit. And as always, make sure to smash the subscribe button down there in the corner. We'll see you guys next time.
Quarter century, I finally came to my senses. I finally got my hand up on the tinted Benz, kid. I see the world clear through my tinted lenses. With the dream and the drive, the possibilities endless. Now print that, send this all the way to Tokyo. Take a trip down south, down to Mexico.